The United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit is now in session.
Good afternoon. The case on our emergency motion docket today is State of Washington et al. Versus Donald J. Trump et al., case number 17-35105. This is Judge Friedland presiding by telephone. Judges Canby and Clifton are also on the line. We thank you, counsel, for your very helpful briefing and for appearing today on short notice. As you have heard, you'll each have 30 minutes, and I will try to help you with your time because I know you can't see a timer like you would in the courtroom, but if you could also please try to watch the time yourselves, that would be great. With that, we will hear first from the government. Mr. Flengy, please proceed.
May it please the court. I'm August Flengy with the Justice Department here on behalf of the United States. I'd like to reserve 5 minutes for rebuttal. The executive order at issue puts a temporary pause on entry for individuals from 7 countries that Congress and the last president determined, in a similar context, pose special risks in terms of terrorist infiltration into our country. Those determinations were made in 2015 and 2016 based either on a congressional determination or statutory factors, including their foreign terrorist organizations had significant presence in the country or the country served as a safe haven for terrorists. The order also temporarily halted refugee program. This judgment was well within the president's power as delegated to him by Congress, and it is constitutional as the court in Boston in the Halal Kalam recently held. Under Section 212F, Congress has expressly authorized the President to suspend entry of classes of aliens when it is necessary or when otherwise it would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. That's what the President did here. And the President's determination that a 90-day pause was needed for the 7 countries at issue here in order to ensure adequate standards, and that's language from the order, for visa screening was plainly constitutional. The district's court's order, which contained no assessment of the legality of the order, was in error, and we encourage the court to stay. A key factor in the order and its temporary nature was the President's determination that there was a need to review existing practices for screening foreign nationals who apply for visas.
This is
the order
if I can interrupt for a moment. You're asking for a stay of the temporary order of the district court. No matter which way we rule on your stay, presumably that appeal of the order remains in place. Is that correct? Or are you trying? Sometimes I get the impression from the papers that we're trying to argue the merits of that appeal itself rather than the merits of the stay.
Yes, Your Honor. There is some overlap, but yes, we are at this point just asking for a stay pending review by this court. Of course, the standards are pretty similar since both would look at the traditional injunction standards. With respect to those standards, I do want to say there are 2 kind of significant irreparable injuries that we are citing in support of our request for a stay. The first irreparable injury has to do with the assessment of risk that the President made in balancing our interest in welcoming people into this country with our interest in making sure our procedures are secure so that the risk of terrorism is acceptable. The President struck that balance, and the district court's order has upset that balance. This is a traditional national security judgment that is assigned to the political branches and the President, and the court's order immediately altered that.
Have you offered any evidence to support this need that you're describing for the executive order, or are you really arguing that we can't even ask about whether there's evidence because this decision is not reviewable?
Sure. The order itself includes findings. Those findings recognize the crucial role that screening present in the visa process. They recognize that numerous foreign-born individuals have been convicted or implicated in crimes since September 11th. It recognizes that deteriorating conditions in certain countries create further problems. So the order created a pause so that the screening process could immediately be reviewed to ensure it's adequate.
Has the government pointed to any evidence connecting these countries with terrorism?
These proceedings have been moving very fast. The strongest point on that is that in 2015 and 2016, both Congress and the administration made determinations that these 7 countries posed the greatest risk of terrorism. And in doing so, restricted visa waiver to people who had even traveled to those countries over the last 5 or 6 years. The executive order relies on that determination, and that is, I think, the strongest type of reliance, where the president is relying on Congress's determination that these are countries of concern, and Congress's procedures to identify countries of concern based on significant terrorist activity in the countries.